Look, have mercy on me. Have mercy.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to On the Bluff, presented by Carmigo. Gabe, the easiest way to sell your car on the internet. Let's lay it out for them.
Worry-free, hassle-free. And here's the thing. They have a nationwide network of dealers, so they're going to get you the best price out there for you to sell your car pretty quickly. Yep. So, I mean, they just have a lot of good connections. Everything else, go to what? Carmigo.io/on the bluff. $50 off.
Yeah, no, it's simple. It's easy. What's the old saying? A caveman could do it. Literally.
Oh, see, we don't want to offend cavemen.
we don't want to offend. Anyway.
It's the old Geico.
Yeah. All you got to do, as Gabe said, is go to carmigo.io/on the bluff. You get $50 off. You can get started from right there. All you got to do is put in some information, some personal information about your car. You go outside to your clean the car up first. Make it look nice, inside, outside. Take a couple of pictures. I think it's 13 pictures, and they give you kind of the little sketch around it so you can perfectly frame your car. You take the pictures, you send them off. They kind of finalize your quote and everything for you, and they get back with you on the list price. Everyone at Carmigo is easy and awesome to work with. As I said, they will help you on the price of if you're worried about what to list it for, how to list it. They'll answer all your questions. They'll help you, and they sell it in one day.
Yep.
That's the coolest part. It's so quick. You know, some people want to get rid of their cars quickly, and Carmigo literally does it in one day, one business day, 24 hours. You send everything to them. They put it out there to, as Gabe mentioned, their nationwide network of dealers. And then one day you'll have your best offer, and you can sell your car, get rid of it. The person that buys it comes and picks it up for you. So, as you said, hassle-free. They do the paperwork for you, take care of absolutely everything. So, shout out to Carmigo. Once again, carmigo.io/on the bluff.
Do it now!
For $50 off. Enthusiastic, Gabe.
Yes, absolutely.
What's up, man?
I'm doing well, brother. I'm doing well. Yeah. Still, we got shamed over the weekend for short shorts on Twitter, didn't we? By some burner accounts out there.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't have anything.
I've shamed you already.
Yeah,
you used to cross your legs a little bit.
Not with the shorts. I never put the
Be
legs
professional,
up.
Christian.
I never put the legs up with the shorts.
Damn. But yeah, we got shamed because we're showing too much skin.
Hey, it's 2023, man. Yeah. We can show a little skin.
Yeah.
Why are we body shaming in 2023?
That's what I'm trying to say, man. I thought they were going to talk about me being fat. And I was like, damn, I wear normal shorts.
Too
right?
much.
They just ride up too quick. Yeah, you can't call anybody fat.
No, it's not allowed. Not allowed. Did you do anything this weekend?
Man,
pretty normal.
To be honest with you, I really chilled. Friday I chilled. Saturday I did go out to a Garner Lake out on Lakeland, and we watched. They had a concert out there, like on the water. We were on a pontoon, just floating. Stayed out there for a couple hours. Came back and chilled on Sunday. I didn't do anything.
That's it.
Hung out. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't do anything either. Friday, went out to dinner. It's usually what we do on Friday. Everybody goes out to eat.
Yeah.
Nothing much after that. Saturday.
Sunday, you didn't do anything Sunday? Everybody else was doing stuff Sunday.
No. Saturday, played pickleball for a couple hours.
We had Father's Day on Sunday, so shout out to the fathers.
Shout out to all the dads. Hey, is it not crazy the difference between Mother's Day and Father's Day?
It
is
wild.
Absurd. I think
crazy.
I don't know if this is 100% true.
Yes, whatever you're going to say about us not giving a flying
that is 100%
Father's Day.
True, but I saw something that said Mother's Day is the second most celebrated holiday
I don't doubt that
in
at all.
the United States.
I don't doubt that at all.
And Father's Day is like the least celebrated holiday.
Yeah, for sure.
No one cares.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I mean,
is it just like that's how it's happened over time? Here's my thought, and I'm going to get way deeper on this than I should.
I think it's I don't know.
This is what I thought about today when I thought about this, because I wanted to talk about it, and I was trying to think critically about how this came about. I don't know. How long has Mother's Day been around? Does anybody know that?
Since 18th century Europe. I don't know.
Here's my thought. I don't even know how long Mother's Day has been around, so this is stupid as hell.
Just do your thought.
This is so stupid. But
1907.
Okay, so I'm good. So like back in the day, right, when these holidays were created or whatever, when people started celebrating this stuff, women were not really, the talk of the town. Right?
Why'd you put it that way?
It's
they
true.
weren't the talk of the
It's
town.
true. Women were looked.
Oh my God!
Women were looked at.
They couldn't vote.
That's
Like
what I'm
explain
saying.
it. You can explain it way better than they weren't the talk of the town.
Sometimes
They weren't the talk of the. Kenny, am I the only one that finds that absolutely hilarious? The way he just put that out there. Women couldn't vote.
They
weren't the talk of the town.
Talk of the town.
It's not just-
Exactly. They
it's
weren't
not-
the talk of the town.
It's
They
not
couldn't
just.
vote.
It's not just they couldn't vote. They were just.
Yeah, they didn't work. They didn't.
Yeah,
like,
they couldn't work.
Yeah.
They were looked at as kind of. They just cooked and cleaned. That's how women were looked at. I'm just saying that objectively. That's just how it was.
They weren't the talk of the town.
They were not
guys.
the talk of the town. So here's my thought. Like back in the day, and I'm thinking more like 50s, 60s.
Okay. All right.
Because if it was
God.
first started in
They weren't the
1907,
talk of the town. I'm sorry.
if it was first started in 1907, then it probably didn't, really catch on everywhere and become a big deal until the 50s or 60s.
Okay.
And this is kind of in that movement when women are being a little bit more talk of the town.
Okay, there we go. Yes.
And
What movement was that, Christian?
I don't know.
The whole suffrage thing, the whole
Is it women's suffrage?
getting to vote,
Feminist
and
movement? I
going
don't
to
know.
work, and that type of
all
thing.
that stuff. So, it's my thought. Guys, let me get through it.
Continue. It's hard.
So
Sorry, go
like,
ahead.
so people didn't treat women the same as they did men in this time. They weren't treated equally. So my thought is on Mother's Day, this was the day that men, kids, whatever, were finally like, okay, we're going to show a lot of appreciation towards our mothers.
Okay.
This is like their one special day that we can make them feel good. And the rest of the days, whatever. And then Father's Day, it was like, who cares? Like Father's Day, like men were looked at as superior. So it was just like another day. But Mother's Day was very celebrated because
Okay.
women weren't usually celebrated like that.
Okay. So like women had to fight for their rights a lot more than men in this country. So therefore we appreciate the women more. But I do also think there's something called childbirth and, usually rearing children, when they're going to school and everything. Like mothers do a hell of a lot behind the scenes mostly.
Yeah. But do you not? Is this a fair point?
It's not bad. I mean,
If you're
the only
gonna-
thing that was bad about what you just said
talk
was
of the town.
you calling them not so much the talk of the town.
I thought that was pretty good.
It's clever.
It's not bad, but like childbirth and raising kids for the most part. I think we have more stay-at-home moms than stay-at-home dads, and they do a lot of the child rearing
would it be
and raising kids
awesome, or would it
and
be-
feeding kids and cooking and doing all of the. I feel like women. There's a lot of women out there who are just like everyday heroes who don't generally get the love that they deserve day to day. So I guess like you get to Mother's Day and you start. That's day to appreciate all of the
Very-
behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Very eloquently.
I mean, I
put.
feel like you just reiterated Christian's whole
Yeah,
entire
well, but at
argument.
the same, no, his was different. His was different,
Anyway,
a little different, right?
I guess.
Slightly different.
I
You
guess.
tried to put a historical context on it,
Yeah.
but I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. That sucks that you don't get to spend those kind of holidays with your parents. That would make me
Yeah,
sad.
I mean, yeah, it's all right.
Let's get into
Give him a
it.
call. Give him a
You
call.
need therapy.
You want to? Do we have one of those lay down? Like Kenny, do you have one of
The couches.
the couches?
Let's take a break. When we come back,
But no, I mean it does stink. But I call them and say hello and everything else.
That you love them.
Yeah, and
hello, Father.
yes,
Yeah,
hello,
I think-
happy Faja's Day.
I think also generally speaking, men just don't like being celebrated as much as women, whether it's birthdays or holidays or whatever. Generally speaking, I'm not saying. I mean, there are men
Damn
that like
sexist.
to be.
You're a
That's, I
sexist.
know that's what's coming. But there are men that like to be celebrated, and there are women that don't like to be celebrated. Just generally, majority speaking, like
But it is the contrast is just
It's
the
crazy.
main thing you have to point out. Like no one gives a shit about
no.
Father's
Like
Day.
I asked my dad yesterday.
Usually.
I was like, "What do you want to do?" And he was like, "I just want to go home and take a nap."
That was exactly the conversation at the Stubblefield house.
Yeah.
What do you want to do tomorrow for Father's Day? Well, I really want to finish painting the upstairs hallway, and I really want to mow the yard because I know it's going to rain tonight. And if
Right.
it rains tonight and I haven't mowed the yard, then
We're screwed.
we're screwed.
Yeah.
That like literally was my Father's Day. We went and hung out with family, but it was more so like I got stuff to do, man. Like,
Yeah.
I ain't got time to be celebrating reading cards all day. Like it's time.
Like
for me to
Mother's
work.
Day is the 21st birthday, right?
Yeah.
And Father's Day is like the 44th
Yeah,
birthday.
pretty
where
much.
It's just like you just
Yeah, like
random.
for Mother's Day this year, we had like
the celebration's there, but it's just not.
It's not much.
Not up front.
it's like a wave and then you're done type deal. That's it.
Like, hey, Dad, I got you a Home Depot gift card. Here you go.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Hope you love it.
Mother's Day, like we had everyone at our house, like the whole
Of course.
family, all the women, all that, like all the women in our family. Father's Day, it was literally just me, my mom, my dad,
He's like, I want to go now.
my sister, and my brother-in-law, and that was it. Like he napped for the majority of the day, then chilled on the couch, and then at like 6 o'clock, my
You're like,
sister
Pops,
and
you
brother-in-law.
want me to cook dinner? You want to watch a movie? No, I'm just gonna go nap.
We
Go
did.
lay down.
We made steaks last night.
Okay.
but that was it.
Ribeye, filet.
I'm a ribeye guy. I'm not my dad, the filet guy. I'm a ribeye guy through. and
Me too. Me too.
100%.
100%. Need a little more fat content. In
Yes,
there.
I love the
Yep.
fat. Everyone hates on the fat on steaks.
Well,
It's
you
my
just gotta
favorite
make. You
part.
gotta make sure if you render it down.
Yeah, you gotta sear it good, and it's good to go.
Got a little crunch to it.
Yeah,
almost.
went and got a big old thick boy from Kroger.
2 C's, 3 C's. Big.
3.
3. Okay, nice. So
Me-
it's like an inch and a half.
Yeah,
Probably
me and
inch and a
my
half
we got two steaks. Like I said, my dad got a.
I'm just gonna keep holding this up.
Is that for my steak? Or?
Yeah, steak, inch and a
okay.
half.
Okay.
Or your shorts inseam. Is that your shorts inseam?
That's.
Both.
I mean, it's 5 inches, right? You say?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I got a steak for me and my brother-in-law ribeye. It was 2.5 pounds for just our 2 steaks. So
Okay. That's heavy.
Yeah.
There's some hefty. You eat the whole thing? You knocked down the whole thing?
easily. Wasn't even full.
Good for you, brother. Yeah.
Made some smashed potatoes, steak, mushrooms, bread.
Do you like mushrooms by themselves?
If they're cooked the way that we cook them.
Loves cooking mushrooms, and she'll do like garlic butter with like cook them in garlic butter. I'm not into the mushroom.
We don't cook them very
What
healthy.
do they call
at all.
that flavor? Umami.
I don't know.
They call it umami. It's
But you don't
one of
like it
the-
like with the steak? Like if you cut up a bite of steak?
Oh,
and
no,
the
that's
mushroom?
fine. That's totally
But just
fine.
by themselves?
Yeah, no. Taylor will literally have like a side of mushrooms that she'll just like
eat.
Yeah.
And it's fine. We make them very unhealthy. We put a whole stick of butter in there and then like flood it with a liquor.
No, what I can do though is like the stuffed mushrooms.
Oh yeah, the cheese.
Where they put the cheese and the bacon and
Come on.
I can do that all
Come
day.
on.
That's easy.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
now I'm hungry. Now I'm hungry. But we do got some news today to cover. Kenny and I broke it down earlier on a little breaking news podcast. One of the only 2 returning players on this Memphis roster is now gone, Chandler Lawson. It was announced this morning this morning. Sorry, guys. I know this is coming out on Tuesday. Monday morning around 10 o'clock, the news broke that Chandler Lawson had entered the transfer portal, which was pretty surprising.
Yep.
Because Jonathan entered, probably a month and a half, 2 months ago, something like that. And it felt like, okay, if Chandler's going to go with him, if they're going to play together, or if they're just both, leaving Memphis, then this is the time to do so. So once Chandler stayed, everyone felt pretty confident that he was coming back.
and there's a role for him.
Yeah.
He was probably, likely a starter, considering the situation.
With that,
depending on,
if DeAndre doesn't.
like if the roster
yeah.
was the same way.
Yes, yeah.
And if
with the-
DeAndre comes back and Nick Jourdain didn't necessarily fit the mold,
yeah.
we saw Chandler play that role sometimes last year.
There
Started 24 games.
There was a role for him, absolutely. But I just don't, and you've kind of seen it on Twitter, and it's not a huge loss. It's not a needle moving loss.
Yeah, he could have been very helpful as a front court depth piece. Like, I think defensively, there's some level of loss there. Offensively, you're not.
No.
You're not. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
Just
more,
not worried about it too much.
to me, it's more so.
It's more about
leadership.
leadership and having guys on the
Continuity.
damn roster who understand what's expected of them from Penny Hardaway. And one thing I will say about Chandler, though, an overwhelming positive from him the last 2 years, that defense was a lot more tied together when he was on the floor.
Yeah.
And he was a great communicator, and he challenged shots at the rim. He rebounded a decent amount, although I wish he would have rebounded a little bit more.
And he had some of those spike
But,
games
yeah.
where he did rebound.
But
really well.
I appreciated everything he brought on the defensive end. I think a pretty elite defender at the college level for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but as you mentioned, limited offensively, wasn't asked to do much offensively as a scorer.
Was that a problem? Not is it? Is it more that he doesn't have the offensive bag, or do you think he wants to get like asked more of him on the offensive end? Do you think he wants more of a role on the offensive end than he was ever going to get here?
I don't know. We just never saw enough to say could he or could he not. I think he has limitations athletically that would keep him from being an elite offensive player. But I don't know. I don't know if he wants more on the offensive end. It's not like he's ever had it in his career. Like at Oregon, he was not an offensive player at all. Like he was asked to rebound the ball and play defense, and that was it. Very similar to what was asked of him at Memphis. So I don't know if he wants to play more offensively, because at this stage in his career, like he's got 1 year left. He's obviously not really thinking about the pros. Just play your last year of college. So why at this point in time
would you decide, hey, I really want to be an offensive player? One thing about him is he shot a three. Like he had a decent 3-point stroke, and he never stepped out from there. Yeah. And I don't know if he was told not to.
I think that's just where his role was, to be down low,
and not shoot a lot of shots.
Right. Well, to be around the rim, it's going to be hard to get out to the 3-point line when you're constantly underneath the rim.
He though, I appreciated what he was. But ultimately, I do look at what the Tigers have from if you're just talking like three or playing the 3 or the 4, like they have more than enough guys to rotate.
To
Nick Jourdain, Ashton Hardaway could be that guy. I mean, J.J. Taylor if he gets going. Who else? David Jones, TFAL Leonard, Jonathan Pierre. You can just keep going. And DeAndre Williams if he comes back. You're good. Malcolm Dandridge is a guy who could be he's a 5, but he's another guy in that front court that could take minutes away from you. So I guess he must have read the tea leaves, saw the writing on the wall, and said, okay, let me try to find somewhere else.
And speaking of the front court and what it could look like, there's a name that's been circulating a lot.
Yep.
That I know has Memphis fans excited. This guy's keeping a lot close to the vest as far as his recruitment goes, but Memphis is definitely pursuing him and in a decent spot.
Louisiana.
Louisiana, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Louisiana or is it Louisiana Tech?
I think it's Louisiana.
Louisiana.
I'm not sure.
I think it's
Tell me.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was right. Yeah.
I think on me and Kenny's podcast earlier, I definitely said La Tech, so I think I'm stupid.
You get confused. Yeah. There's Louisiana Monroe. It was Louisiana Lafayette. They just go by Louisiana.
Yeah.
And then you got Louisiana Tech.
Yeah. So whatever. Regardless, Jordan Brown, one of the best bigs in the country, averaged 19 and almost 9 rebounds per game last year, over 1 block per game over the last several years. Really one of the best players left available as far as a transfer goes. And obviously, as I mentioned, someone that Memphis has been connected to, along with, trying to get DeAndre Williams back. The prospect of what this front court could look like, best case scenario could look like, is really, really on the move. Because if Memphis were to land Jordan Brown, get a waiver for DeAndre and be eligible, and have Nick Jourdain as their 3, primary front court players, by far and away the best front court in the American. Not even up for conversation.
I'd have to say
it'd have to be up there for one of the best in the country.
100%. And where would that put you nationally if say you're starting DeAndre and Jordan Brown in your front court?
So last week in Tigers Untapped,
Caleb Mills, probably your lead guard.
They call him the sausage maker, and I can't remember his name, Bart something. He has a program, an algorithm where you can add players to a roster and to see where it stands. That roster, when you add players to it, where it stands nationally. They added Jordan and DeAndre to it, and it put them at 13th in the country.
See, that's what I was going to say. Where would it put them nationally? I was going to say top 20, just off the spitballing.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at what a potential starting lineup could be, though, for this team, Caleb Mills, TFAL, David Jones, DeAndre, and Jordan Brown. And then you have a really solid backup point guard in Jalen Young. You've got an extremely, extremely high level backup front court guy, Nick Jourdain.
We'll see what happens with Mikey.
See what happened with the
let's just leave him out.
Now. Just the freshmen in general. We're not going to project too much there. But then you got Jonathan Pierre, who so much potential. Could he come in and struggle? Yes. Could he come in and be incredible? Absolutely. He has that kind of potential. So when you think about that roster and what it looks like, not only is it extremely talented, it's deep, and it's deep at positions that you need to have depth at. Think about that front court with DeAndre and Jordan Brown. Last year, they combined for 37, almost 38 points and almost 18 rebounds per game.
That'd be crazy.
19 and almost 9.
And I feel like Jordan Brown taking the opposing team's big consistently would really keep DeAndre hopefully out of foul trouble as well.
Yeah. And having
that
that
would be
big
very helpful.
6'11", 230 presence that can play the 5 and let DeAndre truly play the 4.
You're never really going to have issues rebounding ever again, really. Like, I mean, last year we were dealing with KO and Chandler Lawson in the starting lineup, and you always had issues against bigger teams with their big, first of all, but rebounding. You would not have that issue. But let me ask you this. What are the realistic chances they land Jordan Brown? Because they're not the only ones in that sweepstakes. They're not the only ones going and trying to make that happen.
No, I mean, there is a realistic chance.
No, for sure they're involved. Like, I'm not saying, but there's other teams that are certainly going to be involved.
Of course.
And Jordan Brown, probably in his final year of eligibility, wants to be one of the main guys on whatever team he goes to. And
Jordan Brown,
see.
if you just look at the roster and how it's constructed, Jordan Brown could be the leading scorer for Memphis if he came here.
Even with DeAndre on the team.
With DeAndre.
Okay.
Even with DeAndre, because I think teams struggle more guarding the 5 than the 4.
Yeah.
And I think
I can agree with
I think
that.
that's where we saw DeAndre
Like
win.
where you have a lot of athletic 5. If you have an athletic 5 that has some offensive ability,
Right.
like, that's really hard to
because
deal with.
at 6'11", 230, he's one of the biggest true big. You know, like a lot of these teams get big footer bodies,
especially in the conference.
Right. A lot of teams get big 7-footer bodies that aren't good, but he's 6'11", 230, and he is extremely good and can score 19 points.
Let's see,
per
but
game.
he'd be the best big in the new AAC.
Yeah.
He'd only be competing with Vlad Golden. He's still at FAU.
I think so. Yeah.
That's the only person he'd really be competing with. It feels like.
And I wasn't overly impressed.
He's fine.
He's fine. Yeah, he's fine. But
he's a footer.
yeah, he's a footer.
Gets bored, sets screens.
Yeah. So I just top to bottom at that point, if that is Memphis's starting 5 next year, I think they're the best team in the conference.
Yeah,
But
I'd
I
say
mean,
so. Like
but
FAU,
you're gonna have people say FAU.
You still
though.
have to give. Listen, you still
absolutely.
have to give FAU their props. But I think even if you just had DeAndre in there and
you're
no
close.
Jordan Brown, I think you could still split a season series with FAU.
could, yes, absolutely.
Like FAU, I really appreciate, and they had under 5 losses last year, but they're not overly big, and there's some things you can do to bother them. If you run them off the 3-point line and make them uncomfortable from closing out and sort of limit their jump shooting ability, you can beat them. You really can. And they only lost by 1. I understand it was Kendrick Davis and DeAndre, but they only lost by 1 to that team. Yeah. And there were some bad calls down the stretch that should have flipped that into Memphis's favor.
Yeah. But, I mean, the thing is about it, FAU is a guard-oriented team. No doubt. Everyone knows that. Jonell Davis and Elijah Martin, like that is that's their 2 best players by far. FAU has the best backcourt in the conference. No doubt.
I mean, arguably from an experience and production standpoint, one of the best in the country, but
yes. Yeah, I mean,
so
100%.
It's hard to.
But the thing is they would not have answers for the front court of Memphis if they have DeAndre Williams and Jordan Brown. And I don't think any teams in the American would have an answer for that. And you even mentioned DeAndre getting into foul trouble, which we saw snake bite Memphis multiple times last year. But now you have a guy in Nick Jourdain who can really alleviate that. If DeAndre's in early foul trouble, he's a guy that they would trust to turn to in that situation wherein they didn't have that last year. A guy that they felt that they could put in for DeAndre, not really lose anything. But if you take DeAndre out, you put Nick Jourdain in with Jordan Brown, you're losing some because DeAndre is incredible, but you still have a big that can score in Jordan Brown and then a solid big man also in Nick Jourdain. So I know this is a dream front court. I know we're obviously projecting in best case scenario, but
it's not that far out of the realm of possibilities.
No, it's a possibility.
It's there.
Yeah. It is. It's the best case scenario, but it is a possibility. And if Penny Hardaway and the staff are able to put that together, like strap the rocket ship to the back, like this team is going up quickly.
I love how you're talking about the offense too with that starting 5. The defense and the length and the versatility there would be so ridiculous.
Absurd.
The switchability on the perimeter. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. No, it's all around that team.
He said 13 based on that algorithm. Who was that from, by the way, Kenny? Again, one more time.
We call him the sausage maker over at Tigers Untapped, but it's like Bart something, and he's just got a kind of an interesting last name. I have a hard time pronouncing it.
But 13, if you had all those requisite pieces, I don't see why the hell not. And all that experience too.
Right.
It's all there in front of you.
Yeah, and then at that point, let's say they get to that point. That's their team for next year. All it is at that point is making it mesh, which easier said than done, absolutely, when you have a roster with legitimately one holdover.
But
which is crazy in and of itself.
Well, making it mesh is a lot easier when these guys aren't freshmen.
Veterans. Yes, 100%.
When they have 4 years, 3 years, 5 years of experience already. If you're DeAndre Williams, it's a lot easier to make people mesh. And I think that's another reason DeAndre Williams trying to get him back would be so damn important.
Yeah,
is because he knows everything you need to know about Memphis already, and he could help even those experienced players. He could help them get in here, and it would be easy.
And last year's team we know was older, but was there a single player on that team that had been to the NCAA tournament? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there was. Well, did Chandler go?
And DeAndre,
Jaden, the guys that played for Memphis before that.
Yeah,
to the NCAA tournament before that.
Yeah,
the year before that. Yeah, you're right.
The year before that,
they played Gonzaga and lost. Remember?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, then, never mind. I'm so stupid.
Well, no, I think that was good. Like a lot of the transfers that came in. The guys that provided that were the experienced guys.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm coming from, because you think about Keontae, McCadden, Kendrick, like none of those guys had went, but now you're bringing in, if this is still the hypothetical roster, but like Jordan Brown went last year and played against Tennessee. Louisiana played against Tennessee, right?
I think so.
St. John's went to the tournament last year. Yep. David Jones. So you have guys.
No, St. John's did they not? No, they didn't make it to the tournament last year. I'm tripping.
Hey, it happens.
Because Mike Anderson stunk.
Yeah.
But yeah, David Jones is still a high-level he's a high-level player regardless.
I swear I thought David Jones went. I'm sure DePaul didn't go, right?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't know if DePaul made it. Maybe in women's basketball.
People are going to be like, you don't know what you're talking about, idiot. Hey, it happens.
It happens, brother. I have a 3-hour show every day. You think I get everything right?
No, heck no. I don't get it. We ain't getting nothing right over here today.
Caleb Mills has been there. Jordan Brown's been there. DeAndre's been there.
Jaden.
TFAO might have.
At
right?
MTSU?
At MTSU, they've been in the. I don't know if
he's only been there for 2 years.
Okay, so probably not.
I don't think they were very good.
No, but they were decent previous to that. When they had Kermit Davis, and then they had a couple of holdover years where they were solid.
Yep, that was
just a while back.
That was before TFAO.
Maybe I'm aging TFAO more than.
Hey, Jonathan Pierre. Championships at the D2 level.
D2 natty.
Hey.
Big experience.
It counts.
Yes.
It counts. I'm sure there was 25,000 people there.
They were the talk of the town.
They were the talk of the town.
They were the talk of the town.
100% the talk of the town. So just regardless, projecting right now is fun. And we did this a couple of weeks ago with the Caleb Love stuff as well. Like, this is what this time of the year is for. It's to have fun. It's to project. It's to think about what could be.
It's fun now, but if nothing comes to fruition, if DeAndre Williams doesn't get an extra year,
Jordan
Brown doesn't end up at Memphis, then you're like, oh, well, damn, we didn't think about this possibility, did we? We didn't discuss this possibility.
No. We're going to be eternal optimists for right now.
Okay, we'll do that.
And then when it unravels and falls on its face, then we'll be pissed.
Then we'll freak out.
Yeah.
Then we get
what's going to happen?
We need to get like a panic alarm in the studio.
Yeah, in 3 weeks when we're like, this was supposed to be a top 15 team. No, they're not.
No, but I listen, when it comes down to like everything falling in place, I think I have a fair amount of confidence that it will.
Yeah.
Jordan Brown, I'm not fully sure about yet because he's probably like there's a lot of squads out there that could use a guy like that, and he's probably gotten reached out to by a lot of them.
Right.
But I actually feel kind of positive about the DeAndre Williams case.
Yeah.
I'm starting to like. Obviously, his lawyer is going to put on a brave face no matter what and be positive. but it feels like they have some legit. They have emails, they have texts, and everything else that could potentially show that he was advised incorrectly.
Yeah.
In his first year headed to Evansville. So I feel more positive about that. And I think that's really, like, if we're talking about this roster, even losing Chandler Lawson, just, understand all that. You had DeAndre Williams to it. I feel good about them being a tournament team, potential top 25 team.
So Kenny and I were talking about earlier the roster turnover and continuity, and we glanced over it for a second, but I want to go back to it for a minute. Because you just don't see a completely rebuilt team in any sport, even in this day and age of the wild, wild west of the free agency of college athletics. Like, you just don't see it. Like, I was talking earlier about, remember a couple years ago, SMU got like 36 transfers or something like that. Yes, that's football. Yes, that's a lot of transfers, but that's still only, right around 45, 50% of your roster turning over?
This is 14 to 15.
This is 14 to 15. Whatever percentage that is.
Unless DeAndre Williams and Malcolm get back in.
I did the math after we got done with our podcast. It's 93.33333%.
You could have
for all
left
the
out
threes.
one more three. Yeah. I mean, you could have put three repeating,
Three and
They put the little line over top of it,
So 93% roster turnover, as you mentioned. If DeAndre comes back, that bumps down a little bit, and if Malcolm comes back as well, that bumps down a little bit. But just for as it sits, that is absurd to think about, that this whole team that the city watched and really fell in love with and latched onto last season is gone.
I've never seen Penny Hardaway and Deion Sanders in the same room. Have you?
No, I haven't.
I'm just telling you.
I have not.
They're doing this roster turnover is really like. I today on the show I was talking about it because I know people get really pissed off sometimes about, like, if you say something that could be perceived as bad about Penny Hardaway in the program. But I preface it by saying, like, I understand that college basketball, it's hard to keep continuity. It's hard with NIL, transfer portal opportunities, everything else, guys going to the NBA. It's just hard for continuity. But then I followed it up by saying, damn, this is like 14 of 15, 12 of 13 scholarship players are gone from a year ago. That's insane.
Is it a concern?
It's ridiculous.
Is it a concern though? That's where I
mean, the way he's rebuilt it, no. Like, I think you
think with bringing veterans in,
you let some out, some came back in. You have some freshmen that are like, he's trying to mix and match. I don't think it's like. The concern would come as if he ran off all of them and they all hated him.
Yeah,
like that would be the concern, and I don't think that's the case at all.
No, I don't either. And it doesn't, like, as much as you would think it should worry you on paper, seeing a full new team, it really doesn't bother me that much because, as you mentioned, with all the veterans on this team, guys that have played collegiate basketball, guys that knew the situation that they were coming into. Even if it wasn't only one holdover, there was all new players on this roster anyway, for the most part.
Yeah.
So you know what you're getting into. You have June, July, August,
and correct
September.
me if I'm wrong.
You got 5 months, really.
And here's the other thing that why you I'm not overly worried, and I never was, is because, like, you looked at the team last year, like, most of them were either they didn't have eligibility left or.
Yeah, we knew
one
this was
thing
coming.
or another. Like, it is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
most of them didn't have eligibility left. So
Yeah, and you look at
you didn't really count on them being. You knew they were rentals.
Yeah, and if you look at the team from last year, it's not. I mean, the major contributors on that team, for the most part, were new guys. Or 3, 4 of the guys that came.
Like,
in.
I think we went into this offseason knowing there was going to be a lot of turnover because Demario Franklin and Keontae and DeAndre and Kendrick and McCadden and, like, you just keep going down the list. There was a bunch of dudes who were exhausting eligibility.
Right, but those dudes came in last year, and they meshed just fine. And Memphis had their best season under Penny Hardaway.
And I'd argue some of them are, like, less talented than some of the pieces that came in this year.
Yeah. No, I mean, when you look at, if you compare Jonathan Pierre and David Jones to
Keontae
and Elijah, yeah, like,
I'm giving this year's class.
yeah,
a nod.
absolutely. But they made it work. They made it happen, and a lot of that's on the players, but also a lot of that's on the staff. So I just don't think it'll be an issue. I think you got, like I said, 5 months to practice together. People go, that's not enough time. When you practice together every day, And basketball, I think that's plenty of time to fit. Now, could we see that ceiling raised throughout the season because they're playing actual games together?
Absolutely.
That should be the expectation.
Yes.
You shouldn't start at game 1 and at game 30 be around the same mark. No, they should be better and they should improve. So, yes, I think we will see the natural progression of them actually playing basketball games together, but I think they'll be fine. I don't think we have to worry about this team meshing and gelling.
What did you think about Mikey Williams' preliminary hearing getting pushed back? June 29th to July 12th, I think, is the exact date. And this was the defense. This was his defense attorney trying to get it delayed, saying they had found some things that they found that could be positive for Mikey's case, so they got granted a delay on the preliminary hearing.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know enough about. I mean, so it was them that pushed it back.
Yeah, it was the defense.
That's obviously a good sign. You know, if it's the defense that's pushing it back and giving them more time.
Because hopefully you wouldn't if you don't have a good enough case, like you wouldn't delay the inevitable, right?
Yeah.
You would think that, okay, we have something that we think we can get put together and ultimately make work in Mikey's favor. And what we're rooting for, right? If you want Mikey Williams on campus, you are rooting for plea deal, make it a misdemeanor, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
Get
all
it
you
over
can
with.
hope for.
Yeah, get it over with.
Now, again, I don't know if that's going to happen, but if you're just trying to follow along, that's the most recent update.
Yeah. I will see, man. It's been a wait and see situation since it happened, and it'll continue to be.
Put on your lawyer hat, dude. Come on.
I do not have a lawyer hat.
It's not in your bag.
I know nothing about law. I can tell you that. Nothing. Every time that we get into one of these court situations, like with the James Wiseman stuff or with waiver stuff, I do not understand the legal jargon at all. I don't know anything. So
you keep wearing shorts that short, you might have a court date here soon, bro.
You think so? You think so? God.
As someone who enjoys watching law stuff, courtroom stuff, things like that, what it sounds like to me is that there are some behind-the-scenes negotiations for a plea deal between the defense and the prosecution.
God, that fire you up, Gabe?
Yeah. And whenever you start pushing preliminary hearings back, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yep.
What I believe will probably end up happening is there's going to be a plea deal where charges are brought down into like one misdemeanor charge. There's probably going to be some kind of like diversion program with community service with that kind of deal.
I see it's too early for me to like really fully give a prediction. But the fact that it got delayed, I think, is on the positive side more than the negative side. I'm ready to say that.
Well, that's what you see most of the time in situations like this, especially if it's someone who's young, it's their first time in the court system like that. Most of the time, court systems don't want to destroy lives like that. They want to give young kids an opportunity to make a better situation for themselves.
But I got to say, Kenny, it is like this is not a surprise or like new. Like the power of money and power of getting a good attorney.
That's it.
6 felonies getting potentially plead down to one misdemeanor is like that. Golly.
Well, I have a story I can tell you off air that would shock you even more than that. But you hit the nail on the head. It's not that money gives you more of an opportunity to have that. It's not like you go in there and, hey, I'm wealthy, give me a better deal. It's the
you
law.
buy a better attorney.
Lawyer.
Yep.
You get a better lawyer who knows how to negotiate those deals, who has those pre-existing relationships with prosecutors. That's what I think is probably going to happen, and it's only positive that got
the fact that like if they're saying, hey, delay this, the defense is saying, hey, delay this, and the court says, okay, yeah, we'll delay it. Makes sense. It's fair. It's a positive thing if the defense is getting what they want.
Okay, boys, speaking of delays, we know Mikey's court case got delayed. We'll see what happens there. But we cannot delay anymore the Hot 3. We got some interesting stuff to talk about that happened over the weekend. We'll see what Kenny cooked up for us, and we will be back with the Hot 3 after this message. Carmigo makes it easy to sell your car while still getting the best price. Instead of taking your car from dealership to compare offers, Carmigo uses their virtual vehicle scanning technology to bring the dealerships to you. Simply use your phone, take a few pictures of your car, then answer a few questions, and they'll share your car's listing with the whole network of buyers. And you can do it all from your phone. Buyers typically receive multiple offers on their cars in as little as a day. Plus, Carmigo handles all of the paperwork. They'll even pick it up. What's up, guys? I'm so excited to announce that we have partnered with Coaching for Literacy, and you can read more about them at coachingforliteracy.org or follow them on social media at Coaching for Literacy. Your subscription to Bluff City NIL is 100% tax deductible because of our partnership together. Thank you for supporting Memphis Tiger student athletes and helping promote the monumental cause of childhood literacy.
Welcome back to On the Bluff, sponsored by Carmigo. Thank you, Carmigo, for sponsoring this whole podcast. We appreciate it. Let's get to the Hot Three, boys. You guys ready?
Yes, sir. Let's ride.
We have been talking for the last however many months about the Ja Morant suspension. It dropped on Friday, 25 games with some prerequisite things he has to hit, some whatever benchmarks he has to hit before he can come back. Lots of interaction online about it. What are your guys' thoughts?
I thought 25 was actually one of the more heavy. That was the heavier side of the punishment I thought he was going to get from a game perspective.
That's exactly my thoughts. I think that is like the highest.
Yeah,
that they could have
I
done.
thought it was heavy-handed. It was pretty heavy-handed.
Because you mentioned last week, Miles Bridges, 30 games for domestic violence. So this is.
And by the way, like with the Miles Bridges thing, like there's pictures out of what he did to his kid and his
it's
significant other. It's like
it's legit.
It's scary.
Yes,
and like, man. 25, whatever. I thought that I guess 20 to 25. So again, I thought this was pretty heavy-handed. I knew that Adam Silver was going to be heavy-handed because Ja is not just a normal.
He's a superstar.
He's not a normal star in the NBA.
Potential
He's a guy
face
you
of
want
the
to be
NBA.
the face of the NBA with LeBron aging and Steph aging and KD aging. So I figured he'd be more heavy-handed. But I wonder how this all goes over. Like, is the NBA Players Association going to convict? Because they said, Tamika Tremiglio, their executive vice president, said that she's not happy really with the suspension and unspecified conditions to return, which, you know, I think is bizarre that they didn't lay out really anything.
Right.
Maybe Ja has it.
It was pretty broad.
Maybe Ja has it.
Right.
But she says she's not happy with it. I wonder if the Players Association convinces Ja to ultimately appeal.
Right.
And you wouldn't be appealing for Ja. Like, I think people have a misconception about when I say the appellate process for Ja. It's not about Ja, it's about the precedent that it sets for the rest of the NBA players, and do they want that to be the precedent for, you know, conduct detrimental to the NBA? Because that could be a lot of things.
Right.
There's no law that was broken, so you have to be careful about setting a precedent like that. So people will say, you know, Ja shouldn't do it because it sort of goes against the statement he gave out, and it feels like he'd be stepping back and he's not showing remorse. Sure, I guess you could view it through that lens, but in the end of the day, if he ends up appealing, I don't think it's about him.
No, it's the whole Players Association.
It's the whole
all
Players
the
Association and him agreeing to let them do what they need to do in the name of the players long term.
Yeah.
That's what it would be about.
Yeah. And I want to talk about in a second what we think that 25 games will look like, how they will fare. But I want to go to Ja's statement and his kind of apology and what he said. You never know. You never know, you know, if someone means it, if it's heartfelt.
Words are hollow anyway with him right now.
Absolutely. It's all about actions. But this felt so much more reflective and introspective than any other public statement that he has made since the first incident. Like, this felt
I
like,
agree.
I understand
wholeheartedly.
I understand the magnitude of this situation, not only on my team, my family, all these, my team, my family.
Robert Pera, Adam Silver.
Yes.
Said all the names.
Right. Yes. Everyone in the organization, everyone in NBA organization, also the Grizzlies organization, and then people that look up to him as role models. Like, I feel like he hit everything, and it felt more real to me. It felt more like, okay, my eyes are more opened up to this. Like, in the first couple of times that he spoke after the first incident, I just felt like, and once again, this is a feel-like thing. We don't know how he's actually.
The Jalen Rose interview was just.
But it's all optics. Like, it's just what we can see. We don't know Ja's heart. We don't know how he actually felt in that situation. I'm sure he just felt attacked and like everyone was against him. It just didn't come off like he really cared. And I know a lot of people have said that. This statement, and I know it wasn't, on video or audio, it was typed out, but it just felt more heartfelt. It felt more real. And it felt like, okay, I understand the repercussions of my actions and how this affects every layer of my life and, potentially of this organization and stuff like that. So I think, at least from that perspective, I feel a lot better about it because it seems like, he gets it.
I agree wholeheartedly because when he did that Jalen Rose interview, as much as I wanted to believe what he was saying, like it just felt so rehearsed and so forced.
Like just shrugging it off.
Yeah, and even when Jalen Rose asked him about certain incidents, he's like, he would defer. It was about the Pacers incident with the supposed red dot and his friends getting into it. He's like, well, the NBA investigated. They didn't find anything. He gave it the victim.
It felt very political.
Yeah, it felt like he tried to play the victim role with that particular situation, and nothing was just overly genuine. He gave short answers, didn't really show that he was contrite. It's a statement that felt a little more real than anything else, and like you could tell. Usually, you think lawyers and PR people handle that full.
It seemed like him.
Straight up, all that. It felt like Ja put something out there. They edited it a little bit and put his little twist on it. His thoughts and feelings out there in the statement. It just felt more genuine than anything. Yes. And I know, again, it's a damn statement that you read on paper. So, like, I don't know how much you can really take into it. But everything from here is the big focus, though, right?
Yes.
It has the 25 games. We'll talk about it in a second. Cool. He's going to be away from the team for that period of time. That's what they expect to potentially get him back right. But getting him back right is about doing everything behind the scenes to support him and putting him in better positions off the floor, I think, ultimately. And that's on him, first and foremost.
Okay, so what is successful in this 25 games? Is it obviously you can't
a winning record?
You can't be 500 because it's 25 games, but is it 3 or 4 games either north or south of 500? Is it winning record? What is successful, and where do you feel comfortable at as far as playoff hopes and all that? Obviously that's early in the season, but what makes you feel the most comfortable?
Well, it depends like what the damn roster is going to look like before we get there. Like, is Tyus still on the team? I mean, successful, I don't think it's successful. I'd feel good about 13-12, for God's sakes.
Oh, of course.
I'd feel good about that. But I think successful, you try to get out of that thing with a winning record.
I think even if you're 2 to 5, 10 and 15, that's not insurmountable.
No, but it's
sketchier.
That's a hole to dig yourself in the Western Conference.
But 12 and 13, I just don't feel that concerned about that.
No, I don't. But I think if you're talking about what's successful 13 and 12, give me a winning record coming out of those 25 games, then Ja gets back involved.
Here is what.
But I don't think even if they have Tyus still on the team going into next year and everything else is healthy, with the exception of Brandon Clark, I think they could be better than 13 and 12 if Tyus is still there.
15 and 10 is definitely
then again,
reasonable.
It's like you get into that conversation of, well, do you trade Tyus? Do you not trade Tyus? I still think if you find something out there where you can trade Tyus, you trade Tyus.
Yeah.
Where you feel like after these 25 games going into the future, you're in a better spot. If you trade Tyus, you trade Tyus.
Here's what excites me. The keys are going to be fully handed to Jaren Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
He has to be the scorer.
Yep.
He has to be every.
And Dez.
I'm not going to say he has to be.
Jaren's got to be. He's got to be there every night.
Jaren is top of the pyramid. And with the development that we saw at the end of last year when Ja was out, and just his overall development over his course of his NBA career, I feel like this can be another huge step for him. 25 games is a really good sample size, a quarter of the year. And that gives him a lot of time to continue upon what he started to build at the end of last year. And he's obviously fully capable. We saw it. Like, he is completely capable of being a 25 to 30 points per game scorer if it's just him as the guy. So I think with all the momentum that he's built, if he obviously stays healthy through the summer and through that part of the season, I think we see Jaren take an even bigger step towards, that kind of superstardom, high-level all-star level. Like, I think that obviously you don't want your best player to be out. But the positive side to it is we really could see some awesome development for Jaren. I think that's fully on the table, and then for Desmond Bane as well.
I agree, but I'm going to do the Desmond Bane route of this. Especially if there's no Tyus. Ball will be in his hands.
Yep.
Go. Make something happen. The numbers he could put up without Ja in the first 25 games of the year, with the amount of shots he's going to be available to take. We know he's a good three-point shooter.
You get to see him become a true 3-level scorer, though, at that point.
Yeah, you're going to have to see Desmond Bane be absolutely electric. And we saw it early last year until he got hurt and had his foot issue. So I expect, when we talk about leaps at this point, I'm not talking about like massive leaps. Like, I think both those guys can still improve. They're young as hell.
Right.
Jaren's 23, Dez is what, 24, 25.
Yeah.
Like, they're still going to improve throughout their careers. But I think next year without Ja, like the leadership part of it, the taking onus for the entire team part of it is going to be new to them. And I think they can learn a lot of lessons by doing that early in the season with Ja completely away from the facility, probably, in all likelihood.
All right, Kenny.
All right, topic number 2, Bradley Beal trade. Man, this is a wild situation. Like, I found out I had no clue about Bradley Beal's contract, but did y'all know?
$57.1 million.
Not only that, but he had a clause in his contract. He not only did he have a no trade clause, but he could agree to a trade. If he didn't like the pieces that were being talked about, he could say no to that trade. Like, hey, I want to go to Miami, but if Bam Adebayo's a part of this, I don't want to go to Miami.
Right.
Like, that stuff is wild. So anyway, they've traded Bradley Beal. Washington has traded Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns for Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, a couple of multiple second-round picks, and some cash options, things like that. This trade is crazy. What are y'all's thoughts on this trade?
Then, real quick, the Wizards didn't just send away Bradley Beal.
Isaiah
Jordan
Todd.
Goodwin and Isaiah Todd also part of the package.
Yeah, I mean, with this trade, it really feels like Nets 2.0. When Brooklyn got Kyrie and Harden and KD, and everyone was like, this team's going to win a championship. Walk to a championship.
Everyone assumed this is going to work. It'll work.
And there is a caveat with that, though. There was never any health. Those 3 players never played together. It never worked. But a similar situation could arise with the Phoenix Suns. Like, KD has not shown that he could stay healthy as of late. Bradley Beal has had his own injury issues as of late, and they have nothing outside of them 3. DeAndre Ayton, probably, I don't see him being a part of the Suns' future. I think he has a $32.7 million option. I just don't. I don't know.
No, he's on contract for 3 more years.
That's what I'm saying. His contract.
They got to trade him,
right?
They got to trade him if they want any value.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. His contract for this year.
I guess I could keep
his cap hit. Sorry,
32.7.
Yeah, 32.7. His cap hit for this year. I don't know. Could it work? Could they win a title? Absolutely. They have 3 of the most elite scorers in the NBA. You can do anything with that if it all culminates and it all comes together. But I think it goes back to the depth. You and I talked about this a lot last week on your show, just about the modern NBA and how we're kind of seeing the shift away from super teams. And this is the Suns probably walking into a mistake.
This is the last-ditch effort before the next CBA hits, where you're going to have all these luxury tax blankets and pay way more in the luxury tax. You could lose your mid-level exception, your free agent signing ability, if you pay too much on your contracts, on your salary cap table.
Don't they have 5 players right now?
No. They have more than that. But
I think they only have 5 players on a contract.
Well, maybe. I
think it's KD, Beal, Book, Josh Okogie, and DeAndre Ayton. I think that's the only players that they currently have under
Campaign's
contract.
not on contract?
No, he's a free agent.
Torrey Craig?
Free agent.
Ish Wainwright.
Maybe Ish Wainwright.
See, yes. But point being, all those guys I named aren't moving any needles.
No.
But yeah, they're trying to sort of beat the super team. They're trying to make a super team right before the NBA is trying to get rid of super teams, which is just weird in itself.
And with 2 of them being aging veterans.
Their owner, Matt Ishbia, has come in 5 months, though, and just like, I'm doing whatever the hell I want when the hell I want. I'm going to get KD. Monty, get the hell out of here. Frank, let me hire you. CP, I don't give a damn about you. You can learn on the plane for all I give a damn that you're getting traded from the Suns. I don't care. You can learn on social media. You can learn from your 14-year-old son. That's how it happened. His 14-year-old son texted Chris Paul, like legend in the game. Sons didn't text him at all. Like that's kind of shitty.
Yeah,
that's shitty. But then they trade for Brad Beal. Like he's just doing everything he can in 5 months to try to get a championship.
ring.
And I don't think that you say they're a championship team. I mean, I think they'll be a fine regular season team. But if you take the roster they have now, or even like with the extra pieces they had last year, let's say Ish Wainwright, Torrey Craig, campaign, you take this team with Bradley Beal, with Ayton, with KD, with Book, and you put them up against the Nuggets in a 7-game series. Give me Nuggets in 5 or 6.
I'm with you.
I'm sorry. Like they don't have enough defense, and they just hired a defensive coach. They don't have any depth. They don't have a point guard. What are you going to run Book out there? Yeah. I guess you can, but is that maximizing who Devin Booker is as a player? No, he should probably be off ball some possessions
and
as well.
maximizing Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal.
So what are you going to start campaign at point guard? Like what? Like you can get all these. You can get all the superstar talents you want in the world, but you have to put together a decent team with decent pieces, and you have to have some damn depth. I think the team before Matt Ishbia took over, when it was Chris Paul, Ayton, Book, and Cam Johnson, and Mikal Bridges,
was better.
I think that team is better than what they have right now. If you put those two teams, the current one, what they have now in a 7-game series, I'm taking the first.
I'm with you.
Monty Williams' sons.
I am 100% with you.
They've just... Yes, you've gotten all these exciting pieces. You could probably sell tickets. You're going to have butts in the seats. You're selling hope. But at the same time, I think it's a worse basketball team than it was a year ago at the same time.
And your future is completely mortgaged.
It's cooked.
It's gone. You have no future. You're gonna be screwed in the salary cap after all the new rules kick in. You're going to be screwed as far as the draft goes. You got rid of all your first-round picks for Kevin Durant. You got rid of all your second-round picks.
I'm glad you think
Beal.
the same as me, because some people are like, they'll tell you you're overthinking things if you think that this is not going to work. Well, the only reason I don't think it's going to work fully is because you don't have anything in the way of depth.
Yeah.
You have nothing surrounding these guys, and you don't have like a put-together team.
Yes.
You have 3 unbelievable scorers.
Yeah.
But
that's it.
That's what your best defender is a 34-year-old Kevin Durant on a fixed Achilles, on a damn repaired Achilles.
Right. And we talked about this last week on your show, Gabe. We talked about the Nuggets staying the course with their core and with Michael Malone. And I'm 100% with you. If the Suns stuck with Monty Williams and they stuck with CP3 and campaign
and just built around
it, Mikal Bridges, incredible talent. Cam Johnson, I love Cam Johnson. Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, like all the pieces that they had, they went to the finals, right? I'm not tripping.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, went to the finals 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2021 went to the finals.
Then they lost to the Mavs, and then they sold the team and blew everything up.
Right.
Well, not blew everything up. They're still trying to compete, but
they blew everything up. So I just
speaking of which, Cam Johnson would be like my dream fit for the Grizzlies. Oh my God,
I love Cam Johnson.
No, and also no one wants to talk about Brad Beal, and like he's kind of fallen off past 2 years. He's only played what?
Well, he hasn't fallen off.
He's played 40 games and 50 games, and like his 3-point percentage is like what, 34%?
Yeah, but he hasn't. I wouldn't say he's fallen off.
He's not. I'm not saying he's like
still one of the best scorers.
I'm not saying he's Wizards MJ. You know, like I'm not saying he's completely done or AI in a Grizzlies jersey. I'm not saying he's that. What I am saying is that he is just. He's getting older, and he's slowing down.
Yes.
Things are starting to slow down around him. He had to make an all-star game in 3 years.
Yeah.
So he's a great player. I think he'll be fine with them, but they need to score probably 130 each night to win.
I agree with you.
Before we move on past this, y'all have talked a lot about the Suns. I want to talk about the Wizards for a second. What?
You know what's funny is Kenny. I ignore the Wizards part of this whole
there's
thing.
no
because it's like
nothing to talk about.
They're irrelevant.
What in the actual hell are they doing?
I mean, they knew that
they're idiots.
They had to get rid of Bradley Beal, and this is what they were going to get.
But also, you know how stupid it is. Like, and here's the thing: I've been calling the Wizards stupid. I mean, for a long time.
No
so
one's
this is not new. You know how stupid you have to be though to sell off everything this year when you could have had a high pick for this year's draft by selling it off last year, and you could have got Wemby, Scoot, or Brandon Miller, or anybody at the top.
And then pair that with Kristaps and Bradley Beal.
Jackasses.
Yeah.
You would have sold off Brad Beal last.
Okay, yeah.
And you probably wouldn't have paid him 5 years, $251 million. He just sat there and got max after max after max. and they were not contending for shit. They weren't doing anything. But honestly, the reason I don't go in on the Wizards is because I expect this type of poverty from the Wizards.
They are a poverty
Like, you get what I mean? Like, that's 100%. The reason I don't even. Now they're just selling everything, and they're gonna take on bad contracts, is what I heard through a report. It's just like they have gone from let me pay a premium to suck to okay, let me stop paying that premium. I'm still gonna suck.
I
mean, it just doesn't do anything to change my opinion on the Wizards as a whole. They always suck.
Yeah, very similar to another small market team in the Trailblazers. Just keep handing Damian Lillard contract after contract, but not put anything around them, not help him out at all.
I think Dame is a more transcendent superstar than Brad Beal.
I do too, but I'm just saying it's the same situation. They've handed contract after contract, but they've never done anything to help Damian Lillard out.
The Wizards actually, like, if you'll remember, there was a time, once upon a time, where you thought the Wizards could get something done with John Wall and Bradley Beal. Yeah. Like, you were like, okay, maybe this could work out, but then John Wall's injuries and Brad Beal's just sitting there.
I never thought that with the Blazers.
Purgatory.
I never thought that the Blazers could make it.
Well, they made it to Western Conference Finals.
They did.
With Dame and
CJ and Nurkic. And
I felt like the upside of Bradley Beal and John Wall was higher.
I thought it was higher, but it wasn't.
It wasn't. Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what
injuries. Clearly it panned out that the Blazers were better, but it always felt like when those two were stacked up, that potential of the Wizards felt like it was there, and they just
especially and also Eastern Conference. You got that. Okay, damn, they can make some waves in the Eastern Conference. Never did. Didn't do a damn thing.
All right, Kenny, wrap us up.
Last topic, man. This is a crazy story. Obviously, we grew up. Gabe and I grew up. Christian's still a baby.
Dude, Gabe is like 3 years older than me.
Okay, well, I grew up.
There you go, you old bastard.
I grew up as a Memphis fan watching the Memphis-Cincinnati rivalry, and the most hated head coach in all of college basketball was Bobby Huggins, the Huggy Bear. He's obviously moved on to West Virginia, done a great job over there. He's had a rough offseason, boys. On the radio, said some pretty ugly remarks on the radio, got his pay docked by a milli. Then this weekend came out, got busted for DUI, 0.21, obviously like 3 times the legal limit in West Virginia. And the repercussions of that is he has resigned.
He wasn't in West Virginia, though, to be clear.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Not. That's right. He wasn't, because he thought he's in Ohio, right?
Nope. He was actually in Pennsylvania. He was Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Pittsburgh. Retired or resigned and retired. What are y'all's thoughts?
Yeah, but quickly before we talk about this, I do not believe that even if Gabe is only 3 years older than me, I do not believe that this kid that grew up right outside of St. Louis, Missouri, grew up watching Memphis, Cincinnati. So, terrible illustration you drew there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Did he go straight to West Virginia from Cincinnati?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Gotcha.
I love you, Kenny. Anyway, this offseason for Bob Huggins has been terrible. First off, as you mentioned, the homophobic slurs that he used on the radio, which everyone kind of thought, all right, this is the end for Bob Huggins. Like, he's towards the end of his career anyway, so he's probably just going to resign after this. They dock his pay. He stays. No big deal. We're thinking, okay, we're not going to hear anything else from Bob Huggins. He's going to keep it tight until the season at least. And maybe a month, 2 months later, he pops for a DUI and has to bounce. Pretty nuts.
I gotta say, what an asshole. No, like, seriously, what an asshole. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you get behind the wheel of a car, 0.21 you blow as a BAC. You have Miller Lite cans rolling out of the car empty.
Yeah.
And you have a damn trash bag in your passenger to throw away your empty. So you clearly made the decision to get in the car and go drink and drive.
Yeah.
And then when they ask you where you're at, by the way, you have a completely shredded tire. You're right. Like, you could have killed yourself easily. But by the way, when they pull you over and ask you where you are, you say you think you're in Columbus, Ohio. You're in Pittsburgh.
It's bad.
The reason I think he's such a moron and a jackass, quite frankly, for this particular situation, you know how easily he could have killed somebody else doing this?
For sure.
Not just himself. He could have killed somebody else.
Yeah.
He had no idea who he was, where he was, doesn't remember shredding his tire. He clearly hit something.
Right.
He got in an accident previous to getting pulled over and didn't know it.
Yeah.
Like, just a full-on jackass. Now, the other side of this, damn, he needs help. He needs help. That is junkie behavior.
Yeah. Okay.
That is like, you know, you decide to get in your car with a trash bag so you can drink Miller Lite and throw it away.
That's what I was going to say.
Holy hell.
People get DUIs all the time.
Accident. You
Whatever.
know? Like
Whatever.
morons. I think they're morons.
Whatever. But to make the decision to bring a trash bag with you to throw away your empty cans, that's like next level. This ain't Bob Huggins' first drunk driving rodeo. There's no way.
No, it's not. He got pulled over for DUI in 2004.
Right, yes.
Same thing when he was in Cincinnati.
But I'm saying in that 19 years, this is clearly not stopped.
You wanna. Here's the thing about coaches, and I know not all of them, do all the right things. Like, everybody has their vices and shit behind the scene. Like, I'm not going to act like an angel.
Everybody's perfect.
Not everybody's perfect. But for him, you get in front of these kids every damn day and you say, don't drink and drive, treat women right, make sure that you do and say the right things to the media, don't be outward, don't be dumb. He cannot preach that stuff because he's not practicing it at all. Like, that's just clown behavior to me, and it's frustrating to constantly come in here and have to talk about Bobby Huggins being
There's
a
no
moron.
way. There's no way I can't break on that. I'm sorry. That you were doing a wonderful job of putting that.
We saw some Trey Lasley nipple is what we saw.
Our good friend Trey Lasley from Tigers Untapped just peeked through the door with a baseball jersey on that's about halfway down, and there's just no. Look me dead in the eyes.
I lost my train of thought. I had to quickly find it.
I think he licked his lips and looked me dead in the eye. I think that's what just happened. Kenny made him do it. He says.
Trey.
I don't believe that. But yeah, that's going to wrap us up.
Yeah,
we're going to end on that note. Thanks, Trey. We love you. We hope your show goes well too.
Maybe button up a couple of those buttons.
I'd say leave them down. But we appreciate you guys for joining us this week. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. You can find our podcast, audio version of our podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Once again, shout out to Carmigo for sponsoring On the Bluff. Head over to carmigo.io/onthebluff for $50 off, and we will see you back here next week.
Thank you for listening to On the Bluff. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. Head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co for comprehensive coverage of Memphis sports and how you can become an insider.